Started. Okay. So Melissa, feel free to take things over.
Sure. Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining us. My internet connection today working from home is a little unstable due to the ice that we have here in Garrett County, Maryland. So I'm going to keep my camera off just to allow that delay hopefully to not happen. Am I sounding good so far, Becca?
Yes, you sound crystal clear.
Good. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think the weather probably has some other folks with unstable internet connections unable to join. So we'll be sure to share this online. As mentioned, or as Becca mentioned, we are recording this. So I'll just give a brief introduction to 3RQ. I think most of the folks on the call are familiar, but the 3RQ program is one of many at the West Virginia Water Research Institute. It focuses mainly on looking at total dissolved solids throughout the Upper Ohio River Basin. And we got started on this project in the 2009-ish timeframe, focused mainly on the Monongahela River. And then we expanded in 2013 to include the Allegheny and the Ohio. So we've got monthly water quality data at the main stem of the major rivers and the mouths of the major tributaries. And then we also work with watershed groups who collect data in headwaters using, field type measurements. Recently, we got funding for our GAPS program, which is something that we have applications open for now for watershed groups to apply for. And basically what that is a little bit of funding that we've set aside to help folks with their monitoring data in advance of securing funding for a larger project. So if a watershed group has a remediation project in mind, but prior to putting in their application to get that funding for construction, we've got some funding that would help them collect some more recent data, monitoring data before they go after that engineering plan and construction plan. We can do it a couple different ways. We've got some money for watershed groups that have their own staff that can send their own folks out and do the sampling. And then we also have a great field team ourselves that we can send folks out to collect samples for watershed groups that perhaps don't have the volunteer network, robust enough to be able to collect pretty routine samples to get a good data set. So that's pretty much the GAPS program. We've got a lot of information online. Rachel, if you don't mind sharing some links in the chat for folks, that would be great. And with that, I will turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks. Yeah, I just posted the link for our website page on the GAPS program. And on that page, you can click on application, which is a really simple and quick application, and feel free to share that with others who may be interested. So I'm Rachel. I do a lot of our data collection work and also overseeing a lot of our maps. And what we're going to be talking about today is our new 3RQ mapping tool, which we are really excited to get out there and have folks start using. I personally can't take much of the credit for this tool. Melissa had the really good idea for this and the vision. So there's a lot of tools out there, but especially working in the Monongahela River, which crosses over from Pennsylvania, from West Virginia to Pennsylvania, it was difficult to find a tool that crosses state borders and includes different types of information. So this tool covers the Upper Ohio River Basin, and it includes a lot of different types of data. So federal and state agencies, watershed groups, 3RQ's data, and we're really excited to get it out there. We had a lot of help from Jude, one of our former students, and Eliza and Mo have put in countless hours towards it, and they're going to be talking about it today. So they will also be talking about our waters database and a little bit about some fun things you can do with that. And just for anyone who isn't familiar with that tool, we created that to provide a free and secure place for watershed groups to store their data. And as you'll see, it does a lot more than just storing the data. And it is not publicly available. It requires a login and access to that data. because we really like to connect the data generators with those who want to use the data. I think that's about it. So I will turn it over to Eliza and Mo.
Hello, so I'm going to share my screen, so let me know if it does not do it correctly. But you should be seeing a pop-up that says Three Rivers Quest on the top. Is it shared yet?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay, good.
So we're just gonna give a little example of how to potentially use this map. So we're gonna pretend we are a water quality interest group housed in Morgantown, trying to submit a proposal for funding for monitoring the Monongahela River between Granville and Uffington. First, we want to identify the Huck 10 watershed. That's where this area is. As well as drainage size. So we'll go to nationwide and go to water resources and go to the drop down for watershed boundaries and find the Huck 10 one by deselecting all the others.
So now all of these are deselected, so I can turn on the watershed boundary and we'll only get the Huck 10. And so I will click on this section with the river in it, and a pop-up will appear. And it gives me the area of this Huck, the Huck 10 number, and then the Huck 10 name. And then I can go ahead and turn off this layer because we have that information now.
Next, we want to look for any impairment that might be in this project location. So we'll go to the West Virginia tab at the top and look at resource extraction. You have to poke around a little bit to see if anything will affect this area. So
let's turn on some mining refuse structures, and we can see that there's some there, but it's not as close as we want to the river. So I'm just going to deselect that.
Hey, Eliza and Mo, just real quick. We had a request from the chat. If you could speak a little bit louder, that would be great.
Okay.
And also just a reminder for everyone, we do have live transcript enabled. It's not 100% accurate because it's auto-generated, but you're free to turn that on as well. So thank you.
Okay, sorry. So you have to poke around a little bit on this. So we just poked around a little bit on the resource extractions, and we want to turn on the mining permit location sites and the NPDES outlets. And as we can see, we have some right here and up here, which is what we are interested in.
So we would like to print out this area. First, let's upload some of our own, which we can do. We can go, since it's not an organization, we deselect in our map and then we search for faux map, which is the
layer that we want to add. And so I'll click add right here, and it shows up in our little layer. Our little legend up here. And as we can see, our own data that we wanted to add to the map is now visible.
So we can print out this area of the map by going to print there, renaming it, make sure that it's at the that we can see the legend in advanced printing, and then we can just print.
Yes, so you can click on advanced and you can change the scale, you can add labels, you can add legends, and you can change what miles you want scale bar in, and you can change the format that you want the map in. So I want it as a PDF. So once that's all selected, I'll hit print, and ArcGIS will create a PDF print of this map for us. And now that it is available, I can click on it. And once it loads, here is our wonderful map with the sampling points that we were interested in and the scale bar that we were also interested in. But now I'm going to remove this layer, and I'm interested if any other organizations may be monitoring or doing other projects that we could combine our proposal possibly with. So I'm going to go to remediation, and we can close these tabs by clicking on the gray bars. And I am first going to deselect both the ones that we currently have open by clicking on this and hitting turn all layers off. And so now we have our blank map again. And so I'm going to add project inventory from the Northern Brownfields Assistance Center and then the DEP special rec sites. And so now as we see, we have the special rec sites and we can click and get all of the information that we want from here. But I'm interested on this Northern Brownfield site right here, and I can click on it. And I see that there's a lead stop and they're doing riverfront improvements from Star City to Deckers Creek. And that's a portion of the river that we're interested in. And so I'm going to try to find Katie's contact information so that maybe we could work together. So to do that, I'm going to go to this About tab over here and then click on this link right here about the map. And that will take me to this wonderful homepage for our map on our website. And we can scroll down and find Northern Brownfields Assistance Center right here. And when we click on that link, it'll take us to their home web page. And now I can go and find their team and scroll down and find Katie. And now I have her contact information, so I can contact her if we wanted to work together. So then I can just close out of this and shut the About tab and turn off the layers we currently have on by again hitting this turn all layers off.
We also might want to see if other groups have already sampled from the MON, so we can go to water resources, and we've already done some poking around. So we know that MON monthly data, fish tissue stations, and Friends of Deckers are in this area, but it's really hard to see the Friends of Decker symbol point. So we can change the background of the map by going to our tools and selecting background gallery and just change it to whatever background we want to make it maybe easier to see whatever symbols we have.
Yeah, so ArcGIS has a lot of different backgrounds that you can choose from. But since we're mainly just interested in making this point more visible, I was just going to click on the dark gray canvas, and now the lighter point is more visible. And so both Friends of Deckers and this point down here, 3RQ, they monitor chemistry data on the MON. And so I'm interested to see how far apart these are, because maybe I might want to put a chemical monitoring station somewhere around here where there's already the biological with the fish tissue. So I'm going to go to measurements and click this little ruler icon, which will give me the distance. And then I can go and click where I want the points to measure and double click to end the measurement. And now over here, we have how many miles these 2 points are far apart. And if I want it in different units, I can change it to meters, or I can change it to feet. And I have that information. And if you ever want to find the area between some points, you can click the area tab and then click on the points and then always just double click to end the measurement. And now we have the area between these 3 sampling locations. But since we have some 3RQ data here monitored by WRI, I am interested to see if I can get any of their data onto a nice graph that I could add to a proposal. So to do that, we'll go to our waters, which, like Rachel said, is where watershed groups can store data. And I'll sign in. And to get these graphs, you just go to reports. And so first, I may want the field data, which would be like pH and conductivity and alkalinity. So to choose WRI, you scroll all the way down to the bottom. And then this site was Mon River Morgantown. And so we are going to go all the way back to 2001 to find this data, January 1st, so that we have a nice almost 22 year trends. And then I'll just click on today's date. So first I want to see the conductivity, and this one needs to be displayed on its own. And so I'll select it and then I'll hit search. And as we scroll down, now we have a great graph of the conductivity over time in this sampling location. And so I could take a screenshot of this and add it to the report. We can also do the pH and alkalinity, and we'll search for this. And so up here in this graph, we get the average, and then we get the maximum and the minimum values that have been recorded. And so if you want them both displayed at the same time, it's available up here, and then you can scroll down and get each graph and it's separately. And if you also want some like analytical data, you can go to the lab summary graph and choose the group that you're interested in. Again, we are MON. We are interested in West Virginia Water Research Institute, and then we'll choose our same sampling location. This we will go to 2011, January 1st, and then we'll select today's date. And for example, we'll do TDS, and we'll click on that and search, and then we have a nice graph of the TDS throughout time. But let's say now that this group, we've submitted our proposal, and we have some data now that we want to add to this map so that it's publicly available to other groups that are using it. So it's really easy to submit data or to submit any feedbacks you have for this map because it is still in its beta version. And to do so, you simply go to this About tab and you click on this link here under the Add Data and Beta Edits. And that'll take you to this link. And so you can record any feedback you have. And then if you also want to make any data available on the map, you can select yes, and you'll get to this screen. And so you're asked to upload a service layer URL from ArcGIS. And to find that, you just go to the feature layer you're interested in sharing. And then you scroll down to this URL down here and you hit copy. And then you just paste it in here. And then make sure to include source information and contact information so that we're able to acknowledge what source it is whenever we add it to the map. And then you submit, and it's submitted, and we will get it added to the map. And then it'll be available for other groups to use. Does anybody have any questions?
Could you go back to how you added your own data to the map before and explain the difference between that and what you were just talking about with submitting a layer for us to add?
Oh yeah, of course. So when you want to add your own data, this is just data that may be shared internally within your organization. It doesn't have to be public data. The data, whenever you hit the Add Data tab in the Tools section, it's only going to be for you to see during that current viewing session of the map. So it's just adding it for the time being. So you can say, like, make a nice PDF, or you can take a screenshot of the location, but it's not going to be available for other groups to see that data. It's just for you at that specific time to see your sampling points.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Well, Elizabeth and Mel, I think you ladies both did a fantastic job. I think that was very informative, and it's nice to see everything come together, and hopefully some groups will find this useful, and whether it's putting together a proposal or wanting to submit a report based off of, the data that they've collected, that they can use Waters for that. And they can also use the map to enhance their reporting for funders. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. If there are no other questions, I guess just as kind of a wrap up, follow up, we'll be getting this recording posted and send out information on the link so you can go back and refer to this. We've also included the direct link to the 3RQ mapping tool inside the chat. So you've got that, you can play around. That's probably the best way to get used to it, right? It's being able to do that yourself. So why don't we give Mo and Eliza a round of applause for their great jobs. Okay. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, please go check out that tool, and we're really eager for feedback. We want to refine it and make it really usable. So please check it out. If you see any 3RQ data points or volunteer group data that you're interested in, you can always reach out to us and we can connect you, or we can directly work with you and give you some data. Thanks, everyone.